play it at home. Tracking your every behavior from a marketing standpoint.
Good afternoon. It's time to call to order the February 20th, 2018 meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. If you are here and you would like to speak to the trust on a particular matter, I direct you to the cards that are on the outside of the hall here. If you would fill one of those out and we will get it to our city clerk, we will call on you when we're talking about that particular item. If you have something to say that has not a specific item in mind, there will be a time also at the end of our session where you'll have an opportunity to be heard. So with that, let's call the meeting to order, and our first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the January 23rd, 2018 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust.
So move.
Motion is second. Are there any comments from any of the trustees? Please cast your votes, and it is so done. Items for individual consideration. First up. Oh, yeah. We need to ratify the claims. You have the claims in your packet. What are the desires of the trustees?
Call for a motion to approve as submitted.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes, and the claims are ratified. Thank you, Kathy. Now we'll go for items of individual consideration.
The first item on the agenda for today is to authorize the general manager or his designee to negotiate an economic development agreement. With Costco. Usually I don't forget to do that. We have been in discussions with Costco for some time now to help them determine whether or not they wanted to make an investment in Oklahoma City and build an Oklahoma City location. We have a brief presentation here for you this morning. Representatives from Costco were not able to make it to Oklahoma City today, so I'm going to be offering the presentation and doing the best that I can to answer any of their questions or your questions about the project. So, first of all, Costco is the second largest retailer in the world. They're the 16th largest company in the Fortune 500. They have over 225,000 employees. As many of you know, they're the largest distributor of several products in the world, so that'll be part of their building here in Oklahoma City. They're a membership-based merchant with over 90 million cardholders. They have products for both businesses and individuals. They have limited choices in each category, 3,000 to 4,000, which compares to a supermarket that has 60,000 SKUs or a super center that might have over 200,000 different kinds of items. They have 746 warehouses worldwide. 518 of those are in the United States. This is the site that Costco has identified to locate in Oklahoma City. It's at Western Avenue and the Kilpatrick Turnpike on the southeast corner. Let's go on to the next slide. This is just a slide of their operating hours. The store will be about 160,000 square feet. Is that one of the slides? They're not in the order. Okay. The store will be about 160,000 square feet. They'll be making about a $15 million investment in the facility, and they plan to open in the second quarter of 2019. Their store sales are estimated to begin at about $80 million in that first year and grow to about $140 million by year 6. When we do these retail projects, we typically look to a third-party consultant to help us determine how much of the retail sales are new to Oklahoma City. When we completed that study, they estimated that about 41% of the sales for Costco would be new sales to Oklahoma City. The other thing that I really want to stress is that Costco meets the City Council's retail policy because it is a new-to-market and a destination retailer. So they attract their customers from over 90 miles away, and so their primary and secondary trade area is over an hour's drive, which is part of our policy. So there's already about 2,700 Costco members in Oklahoma City right now. That means that they're shopping in Tulsa or Dallas or online. So we will begin to benefit from already a pretty good membership base. Just for a point of comparison, Costco did open a store in Tulsa in 2016, and they have about 40,000 members in Tulsa right now. So I think we'll definitely see numbers like that here in Oklahoma City. 62% of the general fund is supported by the sales and use tax, and 51% of the sales tax is driven by retail activity. So again, this is a really important project to help growing the sales tax base in Oklahoma City. In the general merchandise category, Costco will be about 7 to 10% of that total category in Oklahoma City by the time they reach year 6. When we look at these, we always try to estimate the revenues that will be new to Oklahoma City, and that's how we base the incentive package. So we only, when we size incentives, we only look at the portion that's attributable to the general fund. The other portions will go to those dedicated tax funds that have already been approved by the voters. So with this project, the general fund revenues will range from about $600,000 a year to $1.1 million a year. And then you can see for the other dedicated funds, the amount of annual impact is shown on the slide, ranging from $270,000 a year to $500,000 a year for the new Better Streets, Safer City sales tax, the police and fire sales tax, and the zoo sales tax will all receive a benefit from this project. What we have proposed and what you would be authorizing today, or what City Council concurs in your recommendation, would be for us to work with Costco to negotiate a $3 million incentive that would have a 10-year term. We would be providing them an incentive of about 85% of the new sales taxes that they create each year with an annual cap of $1.2 million. We expect that they'll reach that $3 million threshold in about 4 to 5 years. So we really want to try to provide the incentive and then hopefully begin to work with Costco to find a second location in Oklahoma City, so at some point in the future. And that is all I have. Glad to try to answer any questions. Again, this does meet the City Council's retail incentive policy and is similar to other projects that we've done in the past, like Cabela's and Bon Mar, the Outlet Mall, Bass Pro Shops.
Okay, actually what we're asking today is, do we want to approve the beginning of negotiations?
That's correct.
And the actual negotiations results of that will be brought back to this trust when they're completed for our analyzation and vote on.
Right, that's right. We will bring back to you an economic development agreement that you will vote on, and then that will go to City Council as well.
I just want to say thank you, Kathy, Brent, and Tammy, for all you all's hard work on getting Costco's. And it is in Ward 7, by the way.
A question, also a word of thanks to Brent and Kathy for the work. The 41% that's unique, and first of all, I want to say a compliment. I appreciate using the third party. I think that's important to validate the protocol around our plan. And of the 41%, though, that's just a unique product line to Costco that is...
Right, yes,
Okay.
or that people are buying those products outside of Oklahoma City, either online or somewhere else, and that we anticipate that now they'll be able to make those purchases here in Oklahoma City.
Okay, thank you.
Ditto from this side of the room, and congratulating everybody that worked on it. Bottom line, I'd like to make a motion to approve the negotiation.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And the recommendation is approved. Next item, Ms. Kathy.
The next item is a resolution authorizing an allocation of $1 million of the Strategic Investment Program funds to Kratos Unmanned Aerial Systems I'd like to introduce Tim Dickinson with the Chamber of Commerce, who will be introducing the representatives from the company that are here with us today.
Good afternoon. A couple of weeks ago at the Capitol, Kratos Defense made an announcement that they were going to expand their unmanned aircraft production out of California and into Oklahoma. Here to speak from the company is Mr. David Salazzo.
Thank you, Tim. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the City of Oklahoma for the support that they've provided. It's been nothing but excellent. It's been an easy decision at why we're expanding here in Oklahoma City. So first and foremost, thank you. So just to give you a brief overview of Kratos, and then I'll drive into our division individually. We're a prime contractor focused on the national security. We are broken up into 6 unique divisions, us being the Unmanned Systems Division. Within those divisions, we employ approximately 2,900 employees. Our prime customers are both federal, state, and local government agencies. Next. This is just a brief overview of those 6 divisions. Highlighted at the bottom right is the Unmanned Systems Division, which is actually broken up into 2 segments. Kratos Unmanned Aerial Systems, which is us, and then MSI, which is out of Florida, Fort Walton Beach. Again, this is just a very high-level chart showing you our company. Eric DeMarco is the CEO of Kratos Defense and Security Solutions. Tim mentioned Steve Fenley, our president of Unmanned Systems, was here in Oklahoma City a few weeks ago and presented on our behalf. Next slide, please. This just shows you where we're currently located. Kratos has approximately 40 offices located in 20 states within the United States. We also are located in about 5 countries. Currently, our newest expansion, excited to announce, is Oklahoma City, highlighted there on the map. So driving into our division specifically, Kratos Unmanned Aerial Systems is a defense contractor specializing in the manufacturing, the designing, and operation of high-performance unmanned aerial targets. Our business is broken up into 3 specific divisions. Our Aerial Target Division, which is manufactured in the Sacramento area. Our Tactical Division, which we are currently manufacturing in Sacramento, but will be expanding into our Oklahoma facility over the next year. We also have a 3rd area, which is Special Composites, which we build for a number of other defense contractors and other type of companies. Our division specifically employs about 400 employees. That's about a 50% growth over the last couple of years. Our revenue for 2017 is right around $100 million of the $1 billion of Kratos as a whole. We're seeing significant growth from 16 to 17 of about 50% of our target production. And from 17 to 18, we expect an additional 40 to 50% of growth, hence the need for expansion into Oklahoma and the need for additional space. This is just kind of an overview of our company. One thing that makes us unique is we're vertically integrated, so we do all of our own design, all of our own manufacturing. We then do all of our testing and our final assembly currently in Sacramento, and then we also do all of our qualification testing for our customers out in the field. Currently, we have a number of long-term contracts with the United States Air Force, Army, Navy. We also support all of our allied countries, or a number of allied countries, excuse me, currently, and we're in the process of expanding that as of now. So this is just giving you a brief overview of what we manufacture. So the Firejet is our smallest target. 177 is our Navy target. 167 is the target we sell to the Air Force. All of these do have international variants as well. And then over to the right is our unmanned tactical systems, which is what we're expanding into the Oklahoma area. Currently, we are manufacturing these in Sacramento, but with square footage that we will need, we do not have that capacity where we're at, and that's what we'll be expanding here into Oklahoma City. So just an overview of some of the key reasons why we've selected Oklahoma as our expansion site. from the Quality Jobs Incentive, the Aerospace Industry Workforce Engineering Tax Credit, which is significant not only for us, but for our employees who receive a benefit as well. The Oklahoma City Incentive, which is why we're here today to discuss with you our expansion into Oklahoma, sales tax exemptions for our company. And one thing very unique to Oklahoma is the opportunity that we have to fly our vehicles and test them after we manufacture them at Burns Flat at the Oklahoma Spaceport, which we're currently in discussions with as of now. Additionally, the pool of qualified candidates in Oklahoma that we've been able to meet, currently we've actually hired 4 of those employees, and we're in the process of recruiting additional employees to move out here to Oklahoma. One thing that's been very unique to Oklahoma is just the support we've received on all levels, federal, state, as well as city. It's been tremendous throughout this entire process. Lastly, we've been establishing a lot of relationships with existing aerospace companies in Oklahoma City as well as outside of the area, in addition to Tinker Air Force Base. In fact, we had a great meeting with Tinker Air Force Base a couple weeks ago. Our division president was out there as well as our vice president of manufacturing. So we're looking at opportunities to expand as well and work with other companies within the city. So that's all been great. The last slide, this basically will go over what we're planning on investing here in Oklahoma. Over the next 3 years, we anticipate a $10 to $15 million capital investment, and then over the next 4 to 5, an additional $20 to $40 million. And as it relates to jobs, we anticipate about 350 positions over the next 5 years. As I've mentioned, we've hired our first 4 employees. They're currently here in Oklahoma City at our temporary office over on Southwest 21st Street. We are in the process right now of identifying a future home, which will be our larger facility, which will house both engineering as well as manufacturing. We anticipate that to be somewhere between 75 to 100,000 square feet. The average wage that we will be paying over the 5-year period is approximately $65,000 and will consist of manufacturing, professional, engineering, quality, and a number of other positions that we will offer. That's the presentation I put together for you today. Yes.
Any comments or questions? Yes, Rhonda.
David, out of curiosity, what are the dimensions of the UTAP 22?
So the UTAP 22 is our largest vehicle. It's about 29 feet in length and a 22-foot wingspan.
Wow.
Our production vehicle, to give you a kind of idea, we're manufacturing, they're about 20 feet by a 10-foot wingspan, 20 feet in length.
Cool.
Yeah, we're very excited. We're in the process of finishing our first couple right now.
Any further questions for David?
Thank you for your interest in Oklahoma City, first of all, in the investment. What industries besides defense would these products be appropriate for?
Currently, our division focuses specifically on defense. Our tactical vehicles are used for an offensive type of situation, and our targets used for practice for both the Air Force, Army, Navy, as well as our allies for surface-to-air missile combat practice, air-to-air missile combat, so purely military.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Brent, are you going to cover the details of it? Ms. Kathy? Okay.
This agreement that will be this item today is to authorize negotiations with Kratos for an economic development agreement. This agreement will be like the other ones that we've approved in the past. It'll be performance-based. The company will be required to provide health insurance to its employees, so all of the basic requirements like our other agreements will be in place.
Any comments from the trustees? We have a motion to approve. Second. This again is to authorize negotiations to begin, and an agreement will be brought back to us in the near future with the normal terms. The key, again, performance-based. This, correct me if I'm wrong, is intended to create jobs, and so the jobs are what's driving the incentive.
Right. The incentives are based on the numbers of jobs created, the annual salary that's paid, and the amount of capital investment. So the capital investment does play a role in the incentives. And the criteria for our program is the wages are around a little bit more than $40,000 a year is even the threshold to qualify. So we're looking at high-quality jobs and a program that's pay for performance.
Do we have a motion yet? And a second? Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome to Oklahoma City.
Next item, item C. This item is to approve an allocation of Strategic Investment Program funds to We Go Look in the amount of $400,000. Jeff Seymour is here to introduce representatives of the company that are here to give a brief presentation.
Good afternoon, members of the Trust. It's my pleasure to introduce Robin Smith, CEO of We Go Look, Kenneth Knoll, COO of We Go Look, and Don Hart, who's their HR Director, to give you a brief presentation about their expansion opportunity here in Oklahoma City. So I think Kenneth is going to actually lead the presentation.
Good afternoon, and thanks for all the help getting up here today and giving us the opportunity to present this to you here. We've been a long-time Oklahoma City company, at least in the grand scheme of our operations. We've been here since founding and looking forward to continuing to grow here. So just to jump into a little bit about who We Go Look is, what we do. We are an on-demand field inspection and tasking service. So there's a lot of on-demand services out there you would have heard of and seen, those that operate here, those that operate in other parts of the country, and we do that for field inspection. So we have over 40,000 independent contractors that we call lookers all over the U.S., Canada, UK, and then later this year we'll be expanding to Australia, that we dispatch on demand for insurance companies and banks, auto remarketing. We also do some in quick serve restaurant and brand compliance as industries, where we're just taking traditional field inspection, moving that to a different business model to put boots on the ground nearby through our technology. Our platform's actually what enables these individuals to collect information on site, deliver that back through our technology platform. Fulfillment center is all here in Oklahoma City. We receive that information. We're handling all the dispatching and assignment, QAing that data as it comes back from the field, and delivering reports to our clients. So I mentioned insurance and banks. Those are two primary industries. Insurance, by far our largest today. It actually led to what was an 85% acquisition of the company in January of last year, so January 2017. That was Crawford & Company, and that's really spurred our growth for where we're at now, laying a lot of infrastructure to continue to grow the insurance sector, but not losing our focus on the other industries we serve. So that's our B2B focus, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how We Go Look actually started here in Oklahoma, and that was a consumer-focused concept. Received a lot of support from the states as an investment from I2E and other organizations that were supporting the company to get through those kind of innovation stages. But it was a concept to let individuals get assets or things they're trying to buy online, inspected sight unseen by a third party. We kind of stumbled into the B2B opportunity and really accelerated and grew, but we ultimately still serve the consumers. And eBay is actually a partner of ours. If you go to eBay Motors and you try to purchase something off of there, you can actually order an inspection from We Go Look. So broad array of services that we offer today. So we were founded in 2009, again right here in Oklahoma City. We are at 100 Northeast 5th Street. All of our fulfillment center is there. All of our engineering, our marketing, sales, basic operations all housed there. We have some remote positions, and I'll cover that here in a minute. And you know, a lot about how we're growing. We started here in Oklahoma. We want to grow here in Oklahoma, and doing everything we can to do that. Working to recruit the talent we need to continue to develop as a technology-based company, because that is what enables what we do, and then other positions as well, from fulfillment to sales and marketing, trying to grow those right here in the city. So on a capital investment side, and this doesn't include any of our software investment, we did raise as part of our sale of the business 85% back in January of last year, nearly $20 million of capital to We Go Look, investing here in Oklahoma primarily, a lot of software development, et cetera, but also infrastructure investment, facility investment, equipment purchase. We just kicked off a lot of those projects really through the transition of that acquisition from last year, starting with our facilities improvements in our Oklahoma City office. We have over $500,000 slated for this current year that we just actually started some spend on here in Q1 to continue to enhance our current space. We will outgrow it, certainly on the trajectory we're at. We plan to. Most likely we'll co-locate at that point until we find a larger facility that can hold the full operation. So today we're currently 155 FTEs. That's 133 direct hires right here in Oklahoma City. So most, again, of our employees right here in Oklahoma City today, and looking to continue to grow those here to the maximum extent we can. Again, skills, needs, and then incentives such as what we are talking about here today really help us to do that. So on the average wage side, we are over $47,000 as an average across all roles hired. Again, that's across the entire organization. We have our fulfillment operations, support center, engineering, sales, marketing, all lumped together for growth over the 5-year period. And again, a majority of those being here in Oklahoma City. Our business model is one that we operate centrally. So we're a 24-hour operation shop right from here in Oklahoma City, servicing U.S., Canada, and recently the U.K. That was a recent launch for us. And later this year, supporting Australia. Technology is what drives us, and we can really operate and deliver on what we do from a centralized location. We don't need other in-country an in-country present elsewhere to a significant extent. Civil engagement side, we do actually have very targeted volunteer program. We sponsor staff time to volunteer in the community across a number of organizations, Allied Arts, the certain veterans groups, Bella Foundation, so anything from the food bank and all the way down to pets. We're letting our staff support the community. We're looking to be a good supporter of technology-based company development. We recently sponsored the Starspace 46 here in town. You'll see We Go Look is a sponsor there of the new facility expansion they have. So again, looking to do what we can to help spur additional talent development, support the community, and really make We Go Look a core company that people know and see around the city. So I mentioned the primary markets we serve today. That's certainly where we're focused. We have a lot of growth opportunity there. Our core markets alone represent over a $7 billion annual market opportunity across all inspection services in those markets. We play a major part of having opportunity in those. And there's others that, frankly, we can operate in that we're only beginning to look at. So tremendous growth ahead. Appreciate the support from the city that we've had to date, and working with the state on a broader basis as well to continue to grow and accelerate right here in Oklahoma. So open for questions then.
Any questions? Well, before we do, again, we're looking for approval to go negotiate. Kathy, any comments about the proposal itself?
No, just that it's for 367 jobs with an average wage of about $49,000. Again, this is one of our agreements that's performance-based, based upon the average, on the wages that will be paid and the investment that will be made. The company will have to provide health insurance, all of the basic requirements that our agreements typically have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just to clarify that this is a resolution to approve the allocations, correct?
And authorize the negotiation, okay. Yeah. That's
then I'll second the item. We're excited for your company and its growth. My question earlier about the drones going beyond defense, I could see you could have We Go Peek or We Go Look.
Certainly could.
With an unmanned equipment, but just throwing it out there for you.
So we actually, I'll take that and I'll run with it just to share a little bit more. We do have drone operators in our network, and we dispatch those nationwide today for insurance companies for claim inspections. So we have a drone operator network that we dispatch just as we do a traditional looker to collect damage information, transmit it back through, put it in insurance companies' hands to handle claims, move them along faster. And, we're really transforming the way those businesses think about how they operate, the cycle times at which they're able to perform, and really deliver better customer service, customer experience to their customers. We act as an extension of these businesses in many ways for whatever given use case we're providing to them.
Now I think we're ready. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And it's done. Thank you, sir, and welcome.
Thank you.
We wish you well. Next item, Ms. Kathy.
Okay. The next item is item D. It is a joint economic development agreement with McLaren Plastics. This agreement is to add 36 jobs over the next 3 years and 58 jobs within 5 years. The allocation included in this agreement is $80,000. Again, the agreement has all of our usual features. It is performance-based. The company will have to make a certain level of capital investment, and it does include a clawback provision that they retain 90% of those jobs for up to 8 years. So, and that's another provision that we typically include. So, any questions?
Any comments or questions? Before we do, if I could, we get into discussions from time to time in City Council about the fact that our efforts are only for large companies like we've talked about earlier. I think this is very encouraging. You're talking about a company here that's plans to add 36 new jobs in the next 3 years and 58 jobs within the next 5 years. A small manufacturing company, an ideal company for what the GOLD bond system was intended to benefit. So with that, unless there's any further questions now, Jim, if you're...
Happy to move it again.
All right, thank you, sir.
How about a second?
And there's a second. Any comments? Seeing none, please cast your votes, and it's so done. Next up, Ms. Kathy. Paul.
Well, what?
Item E before you today is a resolution and an amendment to our agreement with Air Inc. And back in 2011, Air Inc., we entered into an agreement to provide $650,000 to Air Inc. for the creation of about 115 jobs. A couple years ago, Air Inc., which was turned into ACES, was bought by Field. And we've been working with Field in a way to show you how we could transfer. All of our agreements typically have an assignment provision within them, and that what we're seeking today is to assign the original agreement to Field, and then in addition to that, we're asking you to amend the contract to change the fiscal year. So it was originally in October through November, or November back through October, and then we're seeking to change it to a February to March type time frame. So with that, I'd be happy to answer a question. We have representatives from Field here with us if y'all have any questions. But
Mr. Singh, any comments or questions? This is an assignment. Thank you, sir. Please cast your votes. And it is so approved. Next up.
The next item is an economic development agreement with Fred Jones Avenue Partners, LLC, to provide assistance in development financing, which is tax increment financing from TIF District Number 2 for the West Village project. And Mark Beffert is here, I think, with a brief presentation.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. This is a fun meeting. I've never been to one of these before. You learned some really good stuff here. Wow. Well, thank you for the opportunity. As you guys can tell, we have our projects underway. We have been underway for quite some time. Actually, this idea has been germinated since 2014. Our completion date is expected to be right now May to June of 2019. This area, if you want to go to the next screen, we have about 345 apartment units. We're also building 805 parking spaces. We have 4 different garages, which we'll only probably use about half of those parking spaces for our apartments. The parking garages are also used for the Jones Assembly as well as the 21C to help that particular area. As you guys can tell, there's a lot going on over there. The Jones Assembly project, which has been tremendous success. Hopefully all you guys have been able to enjoy that. But this project is, the funds for today are purely for our apartment complex. Our average size unit is about 781 square feet. If you go to the next screen, you can kind of get a flavor. We actually have 4 different complexes, what we call building A, B, C, and D. Our clubhouse will be in building D, and actually that clubhouse should be open sometime in October. So we'll start leasing our first unit sometime in July. And the building C, right next to building C on the west side is a parking garage. That garage is currently open and operational and serving the needs of all the surrounding area right now. The unique thing about building B is there's be some live-work units. So some folks will actually work and then live right above their unit. So And Building A actually has a parking garage in the middle, which is flanked by 2 apartment complexes on that side. So if you go to the next screen, this gives you a flavor. Some of the things that we encountered here, we actually went before, I think it was the Planning Commission and City Council. They allowed us to close Fred Jones Avenue, so we worked with the county jail to allow us to put Building A. So you're actually looking north on Fred Jones Avenue, and at the end of the street, there will be a big water wall that will be a feature that will cap off that area. This is Fred Jones Avenue. On the right side is the Building D. You look at the very top of the right, that's our pool that sets up on the 5th floor, and it actually looks back down over onto Fred Jones Avenue. And the building right there on the left is actually the Jones Assembly Project. We've actually did some additional work with Eric Winger and his staff too, and we actually are improving the street all the way to the south side on Main Street. Also, we've carried Project 1E improvements to our site, so we spent $2 to $3 million extra to carry those improvements to ensure that we flow within downtown Oklahoma City. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This agreement is to allocate $4 million in tax increments to the project. They have to make an investment of $66 million, and that will be paid back to them annually through installment payments. So,
and I will tell you, our project costs are well in excess of $66 million today. That was our original budget, but projects do get out of hand sometimes.
And this is a TIF project which has been reviewed by our TIF committee and recommended by them.
Right, yes, and you've already seen, I think, one presentation on this several months ago where we initiated this project and process.
So those of you maybe watching wondering, this is a whole different slant of a project than the ones we've already talked about earlier today.
Right,
Shifted
yeah,
gears.
like
We're
Mark
flexible.
said, this is an interesting meeting. We're doing job creation and redevelopment projects today, so lots of good stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I would just add, thank you for the progress that's been made.
Yeah.
I appreciate the midpoint also on the rental units or the occupied units, because I think a lot of college graduates and maybe retirees with fixed incomes are trying to come back into the area. Mm-hmm. And I'm really thankful that you've got the density that this appears to provide. I've always thought if the west side of downtown were developed and the city could claim it's successful in downtown, and I didn't think that you'd see this kind of level of investment and involvement with pedestrian sensitivities around it, as you guys have done. So just a word of thanks for your boldness and the progress that's been made. Appreciate that. And no other questions other than that compliment.
Well, I appreciate that. Let me tell you, it's a scary project because it's a lot of money, as well as in the background there, you're looking at the county jail, as well as this whole area.
Which I'm familiar with. and is why I thought West Oklahoma City would really be a laggard. But thank you in spite of it.
Yeah. So we're really excited. I think that, when I went to my first concert at Jones Assembly, I'm standing in there. I looked at my watch, it's 9 o'clock. I go, this is pretty loud in here. I wonder if my folks are going to be able to sleep at night and how that's going to affect my occupancy. So I walked outside and kind of tried to understand how it sounded okay. So, there's been a lot of moments that I thought, what am I doing? But, yeah, we're excited for it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Any other? Yes, go
So
ahead,
is
Ron.
that acoustic work adding to that, going over your price tag?
Part of it, that's exactly. We actually did additional acoustics, especially on Building C, because of that outdoor garden area and the concert. So a lot of the sound actually goes to the west, so we've got extra insulation on Apartment C. So, yeah, we absolutely do. Thank you.
Like to move the item?
We have a motion. A second. Any further comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Next item, is that you or Kathy?
Help. Me and Jonathan Dodson.
Okay.
The next project, Project E, is to provide assistance and development financing for 1726 through 1742 Northeast 23rd Street, not in an amount not to exceed $1,375,000. So this is the second phase of a project on Northeast 23rd Street that The first phase included a relocation of the Oklahoma City Clinic, and this next phase is retail and retail and restaurants.
Thank you.
Jonathan Dodson's here to provide a few slides and information.
Thanks. So I think we have a couple slides up here, and so this is directly to the east of the project that we took before you guys about maybe 2 or 3 months ago for the medical clinic, Oklahoma City Clinic, which will be open April 1st. And so this is the retail component. So each project was about $4.3 million, and each project was about 19,000 square feet. And so this is the second phase of that. So we can go to the next slide. A lot of the obstacles that we had are just similar to the obstacles we had on the clinic. This is a little different because what we were trying to do was create a creative retail component that not just attracted people from the west side of town, but also felt authentic to those on the east side. And so that created a lot of traveling and a lot of reaching out to different tenants. And so we've got a pretty unique tenant mix, but the TIF was really critical to making that happen. And Councilman Pettis has been a big advocate for that. And so, you know, the opportunities that we felt like was we could actually do something in an area that hasn't had really any new redevelopment in 38 years, but do it in a way that is context sensitive. And so what part of this structure is we give our tenants, when they sign a lease, 15% ownership in the real estate. And so what we're trying to do is, if our vision for this is to increase the area and they create something that's special, that they'll have the upside of that. And so as long as they fulfill the terms of their lease, they will be a 15% owner. And at the end of the 10-year lease, they're forever memorialized as a 15% owner in the real estate. And we haven't seen that before. We've done it in projects where tenants could buy in, but we felt like this was important as vision casting. And so our tenant mix, you can go to the next slide. The tenant mix is comprised really of second and third locations. We have a restaurant group out of LA that has 30 restaurants, and they're basically skipping most of the Midwest and coming to Oklahoma City to put 2 concepts in, and they found a local operator to work with them on. And so we're really excited about that. We think that that will create quite a bit of buzz in the area. And then we've got local retailers. And so our dynamics are about 70% minority-owned businesses and then 30% Caucasian. And so this has been kind of the heartbeat of the whole project. We're really excited to provide the health care that's needed. But we think that this will be something that 20 years from now we'll look back and be very thankful that we got to be a part of. So it's a $4.3 million project. You guys were asking for $1.375 million in assistance. We've got our banks lined out. Financing is provided by Farmers Bank and First Security Bank, and so they're partnering together to do the deal. First Security, that's Mr. Perry's bank. He was the one who provided the original financing, but their bank's just not big enough to take it all in, and so they partnered with Farmers to do that. And then what we've said is that we would, what we've negotiated with the bank is that we would have 75% lease before we close on the loan. We've got about 95% of LOIs already signed on the space, and we're actually getting more people interested than what we know what to do with. So we do think that part of the vision casting is really important. We also, just as a side note, partnered with Bumpershoot PR and Tracy Zeke to help us with the marketing and kind of vision casting for how to communicate the message of this, which we felt like was critical, just because there's a lot of people who have never gone when they're headed southbound on Broadway Extension. They never go east, and we're trying to say, hey, go to that side of town and see what's over there, because there's already these great restaurants that have existed. Just a lot of people haven't been there. So anyways, that's the overall pitch. I'd love to answer any questions.
John?
I just want to add a couple of details. The assistance is going to be provided in $800,000 will be provided to the project on a pro rata basis along with the developer's investment. And then $575,000 of the $1.375 million is a forgivable loan. I do want to say that if this is approved by the trust in the city, that the city council, that the city will be making maybe a higher than usual level of investment in this project. This area market just isn't quite as robust as what we see downtown, but we really are interested in trying to get these kinds of projects started so that they can create the velocity and the activity that's needed for other projects to start happening. So the city's really going to be kind of stepping up and helping this developer make that first step to making more things happen along Northeast 23rd Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Ron.
So is your theme line go east to the Okey Poke restaurant?
That's good. That's good.
I just want to say thank you, Jonathan, to your team. I know this has not been an easy development, but I want to say thank you for making sure that minorities had ownership in this particular development, which is, I think, different model than what the Oklahoma City area have seen before. Well, matter of fact, the state has seen before. This concept is taking place in other parts throughout the country, but this is kind of the first time that it's been done here in Oklahoma City. So I just want to say thank you and look forward to continuing to work with you to make sure that these developments are a success.
Thank you, Councilman Pettis.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add, Broadway Extension should not be a tale of two cities division, and it has for a long time. And I'm particularly mindful of what Kathy shared, which is I do think there's some public necessity to serve as a catalyst at times in this corridor. I'm thankful for your vision. I'm thankful for the people you're bringing into it. I'm thankful for the longevity that your approach to it is going to help foster. And I'm thankful for the work that Brent and Kathy and others have done to mobilize resources into an area. Because but for that purpose, we would just continue to look down a corridor whose best days were behind it. So, again, a compliment to the vision and the effort. It's going to be a long walk, but it's exciting. I'm thankful, and I would move the item.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And the agreement is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next item is an agreement with the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority. It's extending the term and amending the amount of the agreement that the trust and the city entered into with Urban Renewal several years ago to do land acquisition in the Quarter Shore area. We're requesting an additional allocation of $600,000 of tax increment funds from the downtown TIF district, which is TIF number 2. The terms of the agreement, it extends it for an additional fiscal year or to the end of the next fiscal year so that we can complete the acquisition that we have underway right now. The agreement, just so you all know, is stated in a way that as we begin to sell property to developers, hopefully in the near future, that money will come back to the TIF fund and can be then allocated to other projects.
The term Quarter Shore for our people.
Quarter Shore is the area from the old I-40 alignment, so the Oklahoma City Boulevard, down to the Oklahoma River. And Urban Renewal has been focused on acquiring property adjacent to Scissortail Park, and now we're working on the south portion of the park. And we've also acquired property adjacent to the new convention center site.
We have a motion. And a second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And it is so approved.
The next item is the President's report from the Alliance for Economic Development.
And is she present?
If she's present.
Good.
Yeah, she's been here. Just a few things in the interest of time. A lot of our activities over the past quarter were focused on the Convention Center Hotel and completing the negotiations with OG&E to acquire the property for a parking garage to support the Convention Center, the hotel, the arena, and Scissortail Park. I think you've seen some of the images on the hotel. We're moving forward with Omni on the design of the new hotel. All of that is going very, very well. On behalf of the city, the Alliance has retained GSB to be our project representative in working with Omni to make sure that they comply with all of the requirements in the redevelopment agreement. Other than that, we've been busy, as you can see today, working with the Chamber on a a lot of different job creation projects, and there's still others that are in the pipeline, and a lot of projects that are underway or that we're working on in Northeast Oklahoma City, including the 1700 Northeast 23rd Street projects and projects around Page Woodson and single-family home development. So we've probably got about 47 single-family homes under construction right now, or in some process of construction in Northeast Oklahoma City. So that's really going very well right now. So that's about it.
Very good. I think we're ready then for comments from staff. Is that right, Ms. Clerk?
I think we have
Item J.
Item J. We have an extra. I think it's Eric Winger.
Oh, yes, he's been patiently sitting back there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think last but not least, but we've got one change order and amendment for consideration on Project 180 today. It's in the amount of $56,257. This is on Package 8. Package 8 is the area that's predominantly the work that's scheduled along Broadway, then also on Main Street. This is also the section that we've talked about being more of the light version of Project 180, where we're not completely removing everything, but we're upgrading everything to the Project 180 standards with lighting, pavers, trees, and some of the other amenities. The reason for the change today is that there's some additional storm sewer and some sidewalk and amenities on improvements. So as we've gotten into these spaces, they're a little different than we expected. It was a bid that went out with the anticipation that we would replace those things, and so we're starting to uncover some things that just weren't originally conceived. We've also lengthened the construction time on the project slightly. This is more to accommodate a lot of the streetcar work in downtown and not closing all the streets at once. I would tell you that we're going to have this work finished up in the summer, but we had originally anticipated an earlier completion date than that. So with that, I can answer any additional questions you might have.
Before we go any further, we're trying to fill up the time to 3 o'clock, so I purposely left an item out that we need to do. We need to vote to receive the general manager's report.
It's the Alliance for Economic Development.
You're right. Okay, excuse me. That item. We got a motion and a second. Okay, please cast your votes. It is so done. And now we'll take item J. Thank you, Eric, for those.
Thank you.
We have a motion to move J. Is there a second? And a second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And item J is approved. And now we're ready for any. I thought that was her. Okay.
There's a, yeah.
Are you doing the general manager or is Mr. Bryant?
No, I don't know that there's a lot in the general manager report that we need to go over today, and I just misplaced my notes. So unless anybody has any questions, I think we may have covered it all just through items today.
Okay. And we do not have to take any action. All right. That being said, and we're still on schedule, let's see if there are any comments, first off, from any citizens. Any staff? Any trustees? Thank you all for your involvement. We are adjourned.